when I actually involve it, I incorporate it in my presentation to my clients, then I start to discover, like I shared earlier, right, there are problem areas which I start to highlight to clients. So just one example would be recently this year, I had a client who has been with me for many years, and we were doing the normal review, and we were just having a conversation, and she did mention to me that, because now her health has not been so good recently, so for her to add on critical illnesses plans is a little bit more difficult. She actually got declined. So we were talking about her assets, and she actually is a very good saver, and she has probably net worth of maybe $5 to $6 million. And with me, she already had insurance of about maybe $2 million already. So I was having a conversation. We were talking about the family. She has 2 young children, and her husband recently, not working. So she was just sharing with me through the conversations that if anything happens to her, we were talking about what would she be providing for the family, and she said, oh yeah, I've got my property, I've got my insurance. And then I asked her, so your property is in joint name, right? I said that you're aware, right, that if anything happens to you, this property will not go to your children. And then we talked about her family concerns, and her marriage was not, I won't say it's really bad, but it was not in it's not in the best shape. And she did acknowledge that this property that she actually bought with the husband, she has been the one who has been paying for almost everything, and this is a $3 million property. So during the conversation, I was telling her, would you like to leave a bit more for your children, because right now what you have, your insurance policies, your endowments, your investments, if you were to retire, and she wants to retire in the next 5 years, I said, would you want to make sure that they have sufficient if you're not around? Because this house, right, is not going to go to them, and the house really forms like more than half of her net worth. So we are having a conversation, and later on, I guess the long and short of it was that I managed to tell her that, okay, you need to make sure that you put something in place for your children. And after calculating, I managed to put in place a trust for her. Okay, for those who may not be familiar, a trust is where to pay out, because if she passes on, I calculated her net worth even after lessing off the property, right, it was about $4 to $5 million already. And I said, do you want your kids to get this $4 to $5 million when they're 21? Right? And that is an issue that I bring up to a lot of my clients these days with young children, because they don't realize. They said, oh yeah, I just leave it to my children. I write a will, I put to my children. I said, hey, 21 years old, I don't know what you're doing, man. At 21, I can't handle a few $1 million, right? So in the end, when I did present to her, we did up a will, and not just a will, I put in place a trust for her so that she can tell that, she can actually put in place money that is being distributed to the children at different stages of their lives, right? Making sure that they have enough money for education, but not the full $4-5 million to be split between the kids at 21. So on top of that, after I went through all the figures, she also realized, I showed her that you actually don't really have enough to provide for the kids, because she wanted to send them overseas, and at the same time she wants to make sure that her mother has enough. So I managed to, after doing the trust and will, I managed to actually sell her a policy that is a single premium coverage to add on another $2 million of death coverage. Okay, so of course that was another, that helped me in terms of building my portfolio, even for my insurance sales. So that got me, for this year, that got me halfway to MDRT, just for one case. So I think in terms of talking to clients, sometimes it's really just conversation, getting interested in their lives and helping them to identify problem areas that they may not see. And from there, somehow or other, there'll be opportunities that arise. How are you going to solve this problem? And we all know that when it comes to legacy planning, insurance is one of the best assets. Yeah, so that is one of the cases that I did this year.